heard it all before, haven't you? From parents, from friends, and from various influencers. And now also technically from me. And that last one really hurts, doesn't it? If you're here, despite all the self-help, self-improvement, how to fix your life type videos on the internet, then it is safe to say that those videos have not worked for you. Or at least, they haven't gotten you to take consistent action. I mean, if they had, you wouldn't be sitting here watching another one of them to try and get yourself to act. You would already be out there pursuing your dreams, achieving your goals, instead of sitting probably either in bed, on a couch, on the sofa, and watching this on YouTube. Or maybe, somehow, this is the very first video of the sort of self-help space that you've ever run into. Unlikely, possible, just unlikely. Regardless, I won't tell you to just try harder or to just stop being so lazy. In fact, I can't do that. I cannot bring myself to say that to you. Because doing so would be the highest form of betrayal, both to you and to especially myself that I could commit. Because I've been there. I've been there. For the past 4 or 5 years, I was stuck too, endlessly consuming self-help advice, but never actually doing anything. Never actually acting or getting to it. Just perpetually consuming advice. As frustrating as it was, I just couldn't get myself to act. I just couldn't. It's weird, it's wild. After being stuck for so long, I've finally, somehow started taking the steps, the small baby steps, to getting out of this hole. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact shifts in thinking that got me unstuck. And hopefully, they'll do the same for you. But before we begin, I kind of have to just say this for my own conscience. This video turned out way longer than I was expecting it to. So you have two options. You can either be responsible and watch this video in multiple sessions so that you're able to take away as much as possible from it, because you're spacing out, you're spacing out your learning and all that stuff, all that science. Or you can take on the challenge to watch the entire video from start to finish. But you wouldn't do that, right? You aren't able. You can't do that. Or can you? Anyways, onto the video. Hello, I go by Wim, or 7 Wims. A few months ago, I finally got unstuck. The ironic bit? The final puzzle piece that caused me to be able to start moving wasn't a self-help video. It was a manhwa. Now, that's, for those who don't know, a Korean fictional work. You can think of like manga and Japanese anime for context if you don't know. Now, weird, isn't it? But the question you're interested in knowing and what you're here for is what actually changed? What happened? The surface level answer is that I read The Burning Effect. and so should you, because it's a really good manhwa, and I cannot recommend it enough. I really enjoyed it, and I really recommend it. And for the more in-depth answer, a few key shifts in my thinking caused my perspective of life to shift or change, and this in turn has allowed me to act. Not another video preaching the value, the mindset. No, don't worry. Please don't. In this video, I want to break down these shifts in thinking for you, so that hopefully you can apply them in your own lives. Now get to it! Shift 1. I can't afford to waste more time. For the past few years, I've been procrastinating on my goals and dreams. Escapism has been my best pal since a while back. Way too long. But a few months ago, reality hit me like a truck. Are you ready? As I was forced to get a job. I'll wait. Get the laughing out of your system. I'll wait. You ready? Good. I didn't even get reincarnated into an isekai anime. Like, what the fuck? Come on, bro. Yeah, dude. Might have been because it was a metaphorical truck, maybe? Anyways, having to get a job may not seem like much or a big deal, but to someone who recently graduated the Swedish equivalent of American high school, mostly by just existing, humble brag, and to top it off, also doesn't really have any practical experience working a job, it was a big deal. When I got a job and started working, it set my bum ablaze. I was forced to confront the reality of a 9-to-5. Well, to be more exact, 8 to 4, but it's the same hours, and you know, you get it. To be honest, as much as I'm painting it in a bad light right now, working a 9-to-5 wasn't that bad for the younger audience listening. However, I do not see myself working a 9-to-5 for the next 40, 50 years. I don't see myself being able to do that. Experiencing the 9-to-5 reality forced me to wake up. It forced me to take action because I could no longer run like I had done in the past. That's where my friendship with escapism ended. He likes to check in sometimes and try to poke at me. It's annoying, but I simply do not have the leisure to be able to hang out with him anymore. I'm sorry, escapism, that this is the way you hear of this, but this is where our friendship ends. I'm sorry, not sorry. If you still haven't had an experience which makes you feel like you have to act right now, right in this moment, then I suggest you try and envision it as best as you can, as vividly as you can, and as often as you can. Do your damnedest to not run away from what you visualize. If you do, then that reality which you visualize will inevitably be the reality that you have to face at some point. Just like I did. Just like I had to. It is in your best interest to prepare for the beast known as reality. For if not, then it will 100% of the time take you by surprise. I really do wish I could give you more concrete advice on how to deal with this or how to evoke this same feeling of time is running out without having had an experience like this. Sadly though, I haven't really figured out how to be able to do that. I mean, evidently, as I myself had to wait for the experience before anything happened. That is to say that I let the beast get the jump on me. And my wish, the entirety of this anecdote with Shift 1 is in the hopes that this will help you act before you reach this point. Good luck, soldier. Now, on to Shift 2. Shift 2. I've always tried my best. As I sat down in the shower a few months back, yeah, you heard me right, I sit in the shower sometimes. It's really nice, actually. Don't judge me for it. Hell, you should try it sometime. I really recommend it. As I sat down in the shower, I ended up stumbling upon a realization. I've always said that I've never really tried my best. The way I judge if I have or haven't is through the things that I can see. There's obviously more to life than what I can see. And we as humans aren't as objective as we like to think ourselves to be. Therefore, it is probably the case that I've been trying my best this whole time. But through a results-focused lens, I've always expected myself to be able to achieve so much more. Things are often not as linear as they may appear to be. And we often tend to forget to view the entire picture when we set expectations of ourselves. And we, who almost proudly exclaim that we aren't doing our best, always seem to lack patience with ourselves, at least in my experience. This topic deserves its own video to even try and attempt to encapsulate it in full. So, for more on this topic, I'll see you there. Now, on to Shift 3. Shift 3. Treat the world as your playground. You've likely heard that you should approach things with a childlike mindset many times before, but it isn't really clear what a childlike mindset actually means. So let me try and get us all on the same page. The childlike mindset is that you should act like a child. Duh. You should act like a child that knows how to be responsible. Don't just become an egotistical, borderline narcissistic crybaby that only does what they themselves want. Am I projecting my own childhood experience here? Nah. Anyway, back to this. In my mind, the best version of the childlike mindset is a mix of an adult's cognitive capabilities and the unencumbered curiosity and confidence of a well-nurtured child. Now, how does this translate into the mind shift of treating the world as your playground? The principle of treating the world like your playground can be inferred only using the childlike mindset. However, that alone wasn't enough for me to make a change, personally. I needed to add another perspective into the mix to make this shift really happen. The gamification of life should be inherently understood by some of us in the audience, those of you being the gamers. Now, you can pat yourself on the back for your now years of experience in gaming, which you felt like having gone nowhere, now having some sort of use by being applauded by in a YouTube video. Cheers to video game knowledge. Anyways, back on topic. And as to make sure we're all understanding the same thing here, gamers and non-gamers, let me once again try to put us all on the same page. The gamification of life is the idea that you try to view your life as a video game. More specifically, as if you were a character in an MMORPG. Now, if you don't know what that means, the only thing you really have to know about this, or about the genre, for you to understand this concept, is that characters in games like these are very often represented by a character sheet where you have different types of stats and accompanying that different types of levels. So you can say like level 5 strength is stronger than level 4 strength, and so on and so forth. And you also have other things like wisdom, intelligence, agility, all sorts of statistics. Now, what you do with this, or what has been done with this idea, is that you have turned these more game-like characterizations of character strength and tried to take them into the real world and essentially make skills in the real world into stats, or you try to think of them as stats. And stats are permanent. You never, gamers, people who play MMORPGs can attest to this, can agree with me here, or show support, that grinding in a MMORPG is never a bad idea. In fact, leveling and working, that's what grinding means, by the way, sorry for using a gamer term, is what the core of an MMORPG is. The core focus in this type of game is to level up your character so you can do more things. Now, where do I want to get with all this talking, blah, 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 blah? Essentially, this is another way, a way from which for me really worked as a gamer, to look at, or to make sense of, to rationalize the concept of hard work never betrays you. This system, or the gamification of life, provides a way to explain why it's, in a way, okay to invest resources into yourself, and why that is never a bad idea. What this has done for me personally is that it has helped tremendously in allowing myself to believe in myself and to fail. Because the gamification of life, the system, allows me to view failure as experience that is required to level up my character, rather than failure just being a dead end, you failed, done. Failure now, through the system, has really been ingrained in my mind as a stepping stone to the next level, or to becoming better. This mindset has really helped me to reinforce that belief and actually emotionally understand it as well. What I'm trying to say is that if you can successfully incorporate and understand this concept, then, and internalize it, that will result in the immediate demise of all self-doubt driven reasons that keep you from pursuing your goals and dreams. Since failure, which is the biggest thing, the biggest self-doubt reason, is no longer a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's a step in the right direction. The gamification of life and the childlike mindset eventually together formed in my mind the principle shift 3 of treating the world as your playground. The ideal childlike mindset having been grounded and realized by the concept of the gamification of life. Are you hanging in there? Are you watching this from start to finish? Well, don't worry. We're past the halfway mark. Now, on to shift 4. Living was not even trying is the worst. Buckle up, this one's long. A month or two ago, I wrote this to a friend. Living without even trying is worse than trying ever will be. Sure, trying is painful, but at least I feel alive. For you to understand and follow this shift, you need one key distinction, both emotionally and intellectually. That distinction is the distinction between pleasure and contentment. Let me utilize your self-help knowledge here for a moment. When most self-help YouTubers say dopamine, they mean pleasure. Let me explain. Pleasure is the thing that society funnels us towards, like shepherds herding their sheep to the slaughter. It is the junk food, the candy, the pornography, and broadly speaking, entertainment in general. The moments that we usually call fleeting happiness are actually moments of gratification. That is to say, moments of pleasure. So then, if what we normally call happiness is pleasure, what is then happiness, contentment, and life satisfaction? What is that, if not the small joys in life, such as eating junk food, enjoying junk food? There's a vital distinction there. Contentment, also known as happiness and life satisfaction, is gained or is experienced when one aligns themselves and their pursuits and work with their values in life. When you are in line with your values, when you live in a way that is aligned with your values, you will gain a very welcomed boost in motivation and in reason to keep on going. Because it's literally the reason to keep on going. You gain purpose. Purpose is one of the most pure and dense fuels for motivation, in stark contrast to the hollow and dirty motivations of pleasure. So then, how come that most of us are chasing pleasure instead of being aligned with our values and choosing to be content? This is one of those topics that very much deserves a video of its own, as the answer to the question in its entirety is very nuanced. For the sake of this video, however, we only really need to look at two fundamental facts of humanity. We humans are creatures of habit, and we humans tend to take the path of least resistance. These two facts, in combination with the social indoctrination of pleasure chasing pushed to the public as the way of life, at least here in the West, lead us to developing a habit of chasing pleasure. Since pleasure chasing, once you've started on that path, then becomes the path of least resistance, the habit of chasing pleasure, or the way of life of chasing pleasure, takes hold on you with an iron grip. Thus, it is very hard to free yourself from its grip, unless you have the proper know-how. But fret not, my audience, for just in the same way as the habit of pleasure chasing, that way of life, holds onto you with an iron grip, once you've successfully repathed your way of life, changed your way of life onto pursuing contentment, that path too holds onto you with an iron grip. possibly an even stronger grip than the path of chasing pleasure. Contentment leaves you fulfilled and satisfied, while chasing pleasure, leaves you empty and wanting more. The more you start to redesignate your course towards contentment, the less you will be tempted by pleasure. And the less tempted by pleasure you are, the more focused on pursuing contentment you can be, and the more aligned with your values you can be. So it's a slippery slope in the right direction. That once you've finally gone over the initial hurdle, which may be huge, you will then slide all the way to fully being on the path of contentment eventually, rather than chasing pleasure. So, the way you free yourself from chasing pleasure and feeling empty is by doing things which leave you feeling content and fulfilled. This segues quite well into Shift 5. So to Shift 5 we go. Shift 5. If you're not working towards your goals, you don't care for your goals. Throughout the majority of my teen years, I've been struggling with choosing what to pursue. A part of me wanted to become a YouTuber, a creative, finding success through my creative endeavors and making a living off of it. And the other wolf inside of me, cringe, wanted to become a professional League of Legends player. Even the dog disagrees. Controversial opinion, League of Legends is a good game. Fight me in the comments. Anyways, my teens were basically a constant battle between the two of them and procrastination. Because, escapism was my best friend as well. So it wasn't really a good mix. What I'm trying to say is that I never really pursued any of them. In fact, as I was writing the script, I was still struggling to leave League of Legends behind. Though I've finally come to terms with the fact that I believed myself to want to be a professional League of Legends player. But often, I didn't go deep enough into it and realize that it wasn't really what I wanted. It would usually go something like, I want to be a professional League of Legends player. But then, when I stopped for a second and tried to imagine the life of a professional League of Legends player, I started to be like, nah, that isn't really for me. Or that was the feeling that I had in my gut that I ignored. And tried to reshape the dream, I can just be a really good player at League of Legends and make money through streaming that or something. I just tried to half-assedly keep myself chasing that goal. I rationalized it to myself. I kept on rationalizing and not calling out my own bullshit. And what I've realized instead is that I do actually want to give being a YouTuber an honest try. Because this is what I truly care about. I truly care about providing value to other people, being a great person, making a change. Okay, yeah, you already know what I'm gonna say there. I mean, it's true. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just gonna spare you the preaching. I'm gonna spare you the sermon that I could give you. I'm not really gonna go too into depth about the reasons why I continued tricking myself for so long. 4, 5, 6 years. Tricking myself to wanting to be a professional League of Legends player. I'm not going to go into that now because, once again, I think that is a topic deserving of its own video. Yeah, even my private life is deserving of its own video. Screw you, I'm complex. Okay, even saying that is cringe, I'm sorry. Anyways, let's continue. For the point of this video, the purpose of this video, it is enough to just say that at that point in time, it was easier for myself to delude myself into believing a half-truth rather than facing reality. I mean, you have kind of half the answer if you piece together the puzzles of what I've said in previous shifts. The difference in a minimum barrier to entry between creative endeavors and playing a video game and half trying your best is massive, massive, massive. Bigger than that. And younger me got easily sucked into playing video games, as I did not have to deal with the consequences of my choices until now at 20 years old. 14-year-old me wasn't thinking about what I'd have to deal with at 20 because I chose to spend my teen years playing video games. Nah, he was too busy playing video games. We leave that for 20-year-old me. And that's why I'm here making this video. Imagine where you would be if you'd started 3-4 years earlier than now. Okay, I'll stop taking jabs at our collective mental health. But hey, on a positive note, you're almost at the end of the video. Or maybe, if I've done a good enough job, you're sad that this is almost the end of the video. Don't worry, there's more to come, don't worry. Anyways, what I'm getting at with this whole anecdote of me being torn between creative endeavors and League of Legends is that if you have a set goal, or you have a dream, and you don't feel driven to pursue it, then that means one of two things. Either you don't actually care for the goal, or you don't believe you can achieve the goal. You can apply the reasoning of the third shift to solving the latter situation here for this. But as for the first one, it's time to use my understanding of the teachings of my favorite channel here on YouTube. I hope you'll recognize it. So, where do you start? I've now shared the logic and experiences that have led me to change. But as we all know, as time and time again has been proven, just watching this video isn't going to get you to act. The most important thing you can do for yourself right now to get yourself to act is to close down this video after I've told you everything here. Close the video down. Throw away your phone safely onto the bed or couch so that it doesn't get cracked because, you know, you don't want to have to spend money on that unnecessarily. Close down the PC if that's what you're using to watch this video. And then just sit on the floor. Sit somewhere without distractions. Like I would be doing if I closed down my laptop and put this mic out of my face. Just sit. Actually, get a note and a pen. Something to write with and something to be written on. Put that in front of you. Once you've done that, what I want you to do is ask yourself, what do I want to do with my life? Now that is a very big, heavy and loaded question, but bear with me. I want you to start writing out goals, writing out dreams that you have. Pick one. One of them, only one. And then after you've picked that one, you start trying to break that down into actionable steps. And what I mean by this is 3 questions. What do I need in my life that I don't currently have to reach this? What do I need to cut out of my life to reach this? And what skills do I need to develop? Those 3 questions I want you to answer underneath this one dream that you've picked or goal. Then after that, I want you, if you still feel like it's a big task, I want you to go one step further and take one of those things and devise an actionable plan to get there. And then, once you've done that, what I want you to do is look at that one step, the smallest one, and I want you to do that right now. Right now. Right now. Oh, but I gotta eat dinner. My dad's calling me for dinner. Yeah, fuck dinner. Honestly. If you go eat dinner right now after this video, after you've watched this and you don't do the steps, or you write everything down, but you go and eat dinner before you do the first action, to take the first action, then if you're like me, you won't do that. It will just be a paper that you keep, that collects dust. Hold on, let me show you. I have this paper right here. This paper. This paper that I made, that I wrote. And I have done nothing with it. Nothing. I wrote this and I did nothing. Now that is because A, I didn't take action immediately after writing, and B, I didn't write down any actionable steps. I just wrote what I wanted, not the actions to get there. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to go watch my other videos, or if you're interested in other stuff I might have made, don't go watch that. They're bad. Or go watch them if you want inspiration and motivation to be better. But not right now. Write down your dreams, pick one, write down the things you need to do to achieve that dream, the things you need to do, the things you need to get into your life, make a part of your life, things you need to cut out, and the skills you need to develop. Answer those three, somewhat at least, and then pick one of those answers or one of the sub-answers to those. Make an action plan for that thing, and then do the very first step in that action plan right now. Right now, you little bastard. Right now. And then you can check out my other videos, go eat dinner or whatever. Peace. That's all for this video. Oh my god, it's finally done.